Hello, and this is Malorian from Warseer with the third episode of the Orc Tactical Team. I'm a little bit sick, so that's why I probably sound a little bit weird, and I'll be showing you some examples today so you won't have the grace of seeing my beautiful face. So in this episode, what we're going to be talking about is the next stage of tactics. We had already talked about the math or priority tactics, and now we're going to get to the physical tactics. So what the physical tactics are is something where it has nothing to do with probability, it has nothing to do with the way that units work together, nothing about psychology. This is about absolutes. This is, the physical, you cannot or you're forced to do something. So the first thing we're going to do is looking at the board here is a lot of times you want to be protecting your flanks. And you'll see a lot of elite armies just kind of, going to the center of the board, which allows you or their opponents to sneak around the flank, hit their flanks, and then that's where they falter. When what they really should be using is the side board edge. So let's take this unit here. If we just move it to the side, then all of a sudden, we've made sure that nothing can hit this flank. And so if we had the rest of the army, we could be splaying it across here, and then as the orc player, if for some reason you're running an elite orc army, that there's no way they can hit this flank, which just completely takes it away from your opponent and allows you to pour more of your effort here. Another one that you can sometimes see is hills. So I have a hill here, and the big thing about hill is that, sometimes you have to worry about line of sight and things like that, but hills will automatically block that. So on the other side of the hill, we have a unit of Bretonnian Knights. Now, usually as an orc player, that means you're going to be outranged, but here, in this situation here, that's not the case. Each of these units is on a different side of the hill, and whoever moves up onto the hill is going to be seen first. So this orc unit is keeping that lance back, because as soon as that lance moves up here, boom, it can be charged. Okay. Another one is woods. So we'll move over these Bretonnians again, and in front here we can see we have this one lone mage. So you think, boy, that mage is in trouble. But what you can do is, because the enemy can only ever see 2 inches into the woods, you just move him back to be 2.5 inches, and he's completely safe. Now, this might be a little bit odd because you won't usually see knights doing this, but this can work with any block, and especially, you can be doing this with a shaman, and they'll think it's worth it, even though normally they could be crazy putting a block into woods, and they'll start chasing them, so they'll go into the woods, and what do? You just go back another 2 inches. On their turn, they go up another 2 inches to see you, and on your turn, you just go back another 2 inches, and from that, in this case, this shaman that could just be a scroll caddy is completely taking this one block out of the game. And each time they're thinking that, haha, I see you, I have you trapped. No, I just go back 2 inches so you can't see me, and they have to move again. This can work against skirmishers as well, but one thing to watch out for is if the skirmisher player starts catching onto this, they'll start looping around you so you actually can't escape and encircling you. So just watch out for that. Alright, another thing is the way that people first deploy. So, a lot of times, you get 1 foot deployment. And so what that means is that people will take up their entire 1 foot and they'll go right at the edge. And the problem with that is that doesn't always make sense. So, let's say for my wood elves, whenever I play my wood elves, I know that I have longbows. I can shoot 30 inches, that's great. But I want to make sure I get the first shot. So if I'm against a regular unit that has 24 inch, let's say regular bow, so that's 24 inch, I know that if they move up their 4 inch move and shoot, they have 28 inches. That means that if I go back a further 5 inches, no matter what, even if they move up and shoot, they can't hit me. I've now used physical tactics to force myself to have the first shot. Alright? Here, we'll go into another orc one here, and we'll bring up these knights again. So, this is going to be talking about night goblins and their fanatics, and a lot of times you'll see people with their fanatics, they'll put the night goblins right up front. The problem with that is that then they'll send in some small unit to go and bait out the fanatics, and all of a sudden they're not being a benefit to you. So, one thing you can do is put them behind a regular unit. And what that means is that when, say, the Bretonnians here are going to be charging that unit in front, The second they come within 8 inches, and I'll just mark 8 inches here to kind of show that, oh yeah, they just barely came in, the fanatics will jump out of the unit, hit them, which is whatever, it's a couple of 6-point orcs, and land right in front of these knights. The knights have to complete the charge and bang. Whereas your cheap 6-point orcs are getting 1d6 hits, these expensive knights are getting 2d6 hits. And in a way, you could say this is a synergy tactic because they're working together, but it's also a physical tactic because this is an absolute. Because these two units are touching, it has to hit this unit, has to go to the other side, they have to complete their charge, so they have to land on those fanatics. It's a beautiful tactic, and I don't see enough people ever using it. Another one we can talk about is just the idea of bunkers. So this is more usually talking about vampires, and the whole idea here is to make sure that a lot of times you want to hide your mages, and if they're in your front block, you know, we'll go and put this mage here. That means that when this unit charges, they can attack your mages, and not only is it easy kills in a combat like this, but they can send out units to go and just try and kill your mage just to get rid of your magic. So what they'll have is a bunker unit behind. So usually 8 ghouls or something, and then the mage will hide in the back. The thing is that, first of all, it's amazing how many vampire players don't know the idea of a bunker, but two, that it doesn't extend to other players as well. You know, Empire, Dark Elves, High Elves, all have really weak mages that are very susceptible in the front, and by putting them back in a bunker that doesn't have to be very expensive, you know, just 10 of your cheapest models, then all of a sudden this is a physical tactic that is stopping them from being able to charge that unit. While you can always, even if you have several units, like we'll move this one back over, all of a sudden we have this bunker unit in the back, and he can go and shoot through with his magic missiles. So just always something to keep mind of, that, you know, in this game of luck and dice and different types of, you know, psychology tactics, the math behind it, to really look at the physical tactics and what can I do that will absolutely put this in my favor. There is no luck that if I do this, I will get this result 100% of the time. And that's really what I want to get across today. So thanks for watching. In our next episode next week, we're going to be talking about the synergy tactics. So that's a lot of things kind of like I showed here with different units working together. And I hope to see you then. Bye.